American football in Finland.
The voice in your ears and the face on your screen. I'm Perfect Pervis, and this is American Football in Finland. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Coach Q. What's going on, Q?
What up, Perry? We back, baby.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, summertime. It's officially summer now. So the AFF podcast is available everywhere you listen to podcasts, and you can see us visually here on YouTube. Wherever you listen or watch, be sure to subscribe, follow, and like us. Anyone who listens or watches but doesn't hit that follow button, we understand that you're a hater, but that's cool. We're going to move on with the show. All right, it's first down. We're getting a chance to start fresh and talk about whatever's on our minds. Coach Q, what's going on with you, man?
Hey, not much, man. You know me. I'm a fan of the ELF, so I've been watching a lot of the ELF this past weekend. But other than that, like you said, man, summertime, baby. Enjoying this good Florida life. It's pool. Ready to talk about some football, man. Get to it.
Yeah, man, I might have to skip out on the ELF this season because I'm a little busy. I was in Sweden this weekend watching the Stockholm Mean Machine blow out the AIK team. I was down there with the AIK team, so I kind of got to see how the other half lives. So very interesting. Sweden is about to get ready to get into their playoffs this year, and pretty much the same teams that are usually at the top are usually at the top, but now the Crusaders are the favorites compared to the Mean Machine. So it's interesting, and I'm really excited because I think some of them Swedish players need to come on over here when the season over, because that's when our break is here in Finland. When their season over, we have a break. Bring them on over, because after what we saw this week, some of these teams could use it. So with that, let's get into the show. Calling all you football players. Are you ready to shine this midsummer? Join us at the AFF Nordic Challenge, June 18th through 21st in Helsinki. Showcase your skills to USA college coaches, train with some of the top coaches in Europe, and compete in one-on-ones. Get insider tips at exclusive recruiting sessions and seize international opportunities. You can even win big with camp-sponsored prizes. Space is limited, so register now. All right, so players of the week. They've been announced on the social medias earlier this week, but of course, we like to explain our picks in depth here. First up, offensive player of the week. Bryce is it Nunnally? I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but Bryce had 7 receptions.
Nunley.
Nunnally. It feels funny off my
Sound about
tongue.
right.
Nunnally. Yeah, like it's a lot of double letters, double N, double L. But Bryce, we're gonna call him Bryce. Bryce has 7 receptions, 77 yards, and 3 touchdowns. What did you think about his play this week, Coach Q?
Bryce had a quiet game, like you said, a little more quiet on his side, but kind of had like a breakout game. It was nice to see what he can do with the ball and down the field. And seems like he's gonna be a problem. Seems for the league too. We like I say, they didn't give him the ball a lot in the first game, but this game they had him doing some of everything, and you can from the backfield, he can hurt you from a lot of areas. So one-on-one matchups for him are going to be a problem. He definitely earned it. 3 touchdowns. Really didn't. I mean, if they fed, it would have been worse than that. But he had 3 big plays in that game, so he definitely deserved it.
Yeah, one thing that I really liked about his play this week was, I mean, obviously you're playing a team that's not up to your caliber, but instead of them, force feed him the ball, they played him within offense. But those touchdowns, those were okay. We're gonna use our matchup and we're gonna give the ball to the guy that we know is gonna win the matchup. And a lot of times that's what they did. That's how he got so many touchdowns. It seemed like he's not really even doing a lot, but when he gets the ball, he's scoring. You get 7 catches, 3 of them go for tubs. I mean, that's every other catch you making a touchdown. So that's kind of how it was for Bryce. So he had a really good game. Shout out to him. Next guy we have is defensive player of the week for the second week, Charles Acano. And I don't know what's going on with the stats because me and you both watched the game. What I saw, number one,
Yeah, they
everywhere.
killed it.
Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, and then I go and look. When we make these picks and stuff, we don't look at the stats until after we decide like who's the MVPs, just so that we don't be influenced by stats. but it says he had 2.5 tackles, 1 PBU, and 1 sack. And I feel like he had like 7 sacks. And I don't know if maybe he had some QB hits or something, and I'm just not recognizing it. But he had a hell of a game, and he was basically deciding what the offense could do and where they could go with the ball. Like he forced them to do certain things, and I was really impressed again that he was able to do this. 2 weeks in a row. Obviously, he's going to be one of the better players in the league, but that consistency is crazy. And again, this week, he was the guy that stood out defensively. Out of all the games, he's the guy that you just remember. He's always around the ball, making plays, forcing things to happen. What were your thoughts on Charles?
He's super active. Like you said, he controls one side of the field. I like a defensive player like that, who has a motor, who wants to be a part of every game. And that's the import you want to get. So far, he's doing his thing. I think he went down for a little bit, but hopefully everything's good with him. He said his stats, from the website, can't really tell that he has such a game, but his presence on the field is undeniable. He's a baller. 2 weeks in a row. He's not the first guy to do this. You know what I mean? I don't think this will be the last week we say his name. But like you said, there was a lot of other people that had okay wins, but I don't think they had the impact that he had on their win. So shout out to him, man, for getting this award this week.
Yeah, we'll move on. Get into helmet stickers next. All right, let's talk about some of the key player performances from this week. All stats aside, these are players who deserve recognition for their play last week. We can give players 1, 2, or 3 helmet stickers depending on their performance. Let's do a back and forth. You name a guy, then I name a guy. I'll let you go first. Name a guy.
Noah Coyote. Is that how you say his last name?
I think it's Choate. I think it's Choate. Actually think it's Noah Choate.
Oh, okay. There I go trying to make up a name. But for the Kuopio.
Just a little bit of background, if I'm not mistaken, him and his brother are like half American. Like they have American parent.
Okay.
One of their parents might actually be American. So I think that's why it's Choate.
Okay. All right. So the Choate part. Noah, I'd say helmet stickers for him. He's starting to really show that Kuopio has a lot more to worry about than I think we thought initially. But Isaac Marshall, they're going to be problems for a lot of defenses. Linebackers are not going to be able to guard these guys. Safeties, it's going to be an issue with. Definitely one of those guys, like, if you need to get it going, go to him first early in the game. He'll probably find his way in the end zone. I like how he's been playing with his play. So definitely helmet stickers for him.
Yeah, I want to add on that because Noah was on my list as well. We've seen him kind of progress over the last couple of years because he's been in the Maple League. I want to say this is his 3rd season, and he can't be older than 21 years old. Like he's a young player. And previously, and this could be again the whole Nessie effect. Previously, he was more kind of a gadget player for them, playing in the slot. They try to get him the ball in space, things like that. And you saw in this game, they had him running routes. And he's winning those matchups against corners who are actually similar aged. Go Wolverines. But still, he's winning those matchups, and they're giving him the ball, and he's getting wide open, and he's really developed as a receiver. And this game was kind of evidence of it, that he's going to be one of those guys that we're going to be looking at number 21 all season long. Guy that I'm going to talk to, I'm going to throw out, this is a given, but I'm going to throw out Christian Powell. He had 24 rushes in this game, and that's what really stood out. Stat-wise, he had 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. But when I watched the game, they just kept feeding him. And as the game went on, he got better. And if you watch this game, and I'm gonna talk about the matchup later on, what actually happened in the game. But what was really good from Christian Powell was I think he also hit that 10,000 mark in this game. So congratulations, 10,000 yards rushing in the Maple League. They tore his jersey, but I heard they're going to put it in a frame and put it up somewhere. I guess it goes into the Maple League Hall of Fame. But again, this week he got three helmet stickers from me because he just kept grinding. And it was one of those games where he didn't have a lot of huge runs or anything, but you couldn't stop him. Like eventually he was going to get his yards, and that's what he did. He kind of wore the Royals defense down throughout the game and really kept the consistency for the Crocodiles. So I really love that about him. Anyone else you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the same team. We haven't talked about him much for the past 2 games. He hasn't really had any wow games as far as 300 yards. But I just want to give him a shout out because he's 2-0 in the Maple League. You know, fresh out of college, coming into a team that last year, and he stepped in and he's doing and proving that he's a team player. And like I said, he hasn't had a breakout game yet, but he's not making a lot of. He's going with what they give him. And I like the way he looks right now. You know, I know, like I said, we haven't talked about him a lot because of what Josh Taylor's been doing and Ambrose and those 2 guys specifically. But Christian is 2-0. He has one of the best running back probably in the league or a few leagues. But going out too, I want to give him a shout out. Like I said, not crazy games, but Christian, good luck this season. Do your thing, man. Like we said, we met him at the camp and everything. But it's nice to come in and find his role and do what he's doing for the Crocs, though. So he's definitely my last helmet sticker.
Okay. For me, I'm gonna keep going. I got a long list. I don't care. I'm gonna do it today. I'm gonna do a couple of guys, and I'm gonna do it quickly. That way, we don't spend too much time. But first guy is Seppo. I'm not gonna butcher your last name. I ain't gonna do you like that. But Seppo, his job for most of the week was to block Charles Acano, and if those stats are anything correctly, then obviously he did his job. And I'm just really proud of him doing that. I give him 1 sticker for, consistently going up against this guy who's younger, probably faster, maybe not as strong, because I think Seppo has still got grown man strength. But Seppo was out there giving him the business. He was working all game to hold this guy. Now, did it eventually help them get the win? That's something totally different. But with Seppo in his matchup out there playing on that tackle position, he really did a really good job holding Acano to less plays than he could have had, because Acano could have just ran straight through that team. But Seppo held him a couple times and did his thing. He won his fair amount of those matchups. So I just want to throw that out there that he played really good in this game. Another guy from the Royals who I think was going to go unnoticed is Matthias Koss, Little Koss, not Big Koss, not 97, number 58, I think was his number. Damn it, I can't remember what number he was. But the other one, he's playing D-line for them. And again, similar to Seppo, I think he was overmatched, but he was putting up a lot of pressure in the game. Just himself, I noticed that he had a lot of good plays that I didn't think he would be able to do against that offensive line. And he was able to put up some pressure and kind of help them create a little bit of pressure. Again, didn't help them get the win, but these were 2 players for the Royals that stood out to me because of the effort that they put forth. So really just want to give a shout out to those guys. Who else I want to talk about before I get out of here? I'm gonna let it ride. No, I'm not gonna let it ride. I'm gonna keep talking. Sorry. Next guy, I want to talk about the receiver from the Roosters, Renee Rautinainen, number 86, I think it was. He had 8 receptions, 80 yards. Young kid, first ever Maple League touchdown. I know he used to play for East City Giants in the youth program. I think he changed to Roosters either this year or last year. So he had a hell of a game. And I was excited watching the game because they were feeding this kid and he wasn't even supposed to be playing. We know the Roosters have some injuries at the receiver position. I don't know why, but like Santu Vekemak, he really didn't play in this game. He went in a few times, but most of the time he wasn't on the field.
Yeah.
But Renee was out there getting all them reps, and he was killing it. And he was, he was showing that his hands are pretty good. He was running deep routes, middle routes, short routes, everything that they needed from him. And he really contributed to this offense being successful. I know we talked about earlier, Bryce Nunley with the touchdowns. A lot of times before he got those touchdowns, you see Renee catching a pass to set them up, and that's what he did in this game. He did his job, but considering that wasn't his job, 2 days before the game, it's a hell of a performance. I give him at least 3 stars for that, at least 3 helmet stickers. I mean, I'm trying to do this helmet sticker thing. I'll leave it at that. I think that's enough people. I feel like we win everybody. So we can go to the win or loss now.
Are you a fan of the American Football in Finland podcast? Show your support in style. Rock our logo proudly on hoodies, t-shirts, beanies, and snapbacks, all designed for fans like you. Join us in celebrating American football in Finland. Grab your gear and be a part of the AFF community.
We all know the results of last weekend's games, but let's explain which teams won or which teams lost their game in detail. First game we'll start off with Seinäjoki Crocodiles versus the Wausau Royals. Q, in this one, who do you think won or who do you think lost this game?
I believe the Seinäjoki Crocodiles won this game fair and square, convincingly. Even though the score what it was, the Crocs seemed to have the upper hand in this game as far as what they wanted to do. Vasa did make a lot of good plays. Alpha, being able to show what he can do. I want to see a little more of that, but definitely the Crocs home game, supposed to play at home.
Shout out to
doing what they do.
Shout out to Alpha though, because when he scored, I think the first, maybe both touchdowns, I could hear him on the audio, which is weird. I don't usually listen to him. I can hear him on the audio saying it's going to be a long day for him. He's going to have a long day. And then he didn't score anymore after the second touchdown. But he was into it.
Yeah, that's Alpha, man. Like you said, he can break over a game anytime, but help from the team. But the Crocs not single-handedly, but Crocs just a team effort. Played good at home, and they won. Look better than they've been looking. I'll say that, but definitely the Crocs won this fair and square.
I agree with you 100%. And again, I'm looking at my notes here, and I'm gonna ask you. You want me to start with the good or start with the bad? Because I got two different takes on this.
Let's go bad. Go bad.
Okay. Look, I want to say this, and I just want to let everybody know I did not bring my personal feelings into this show. I have a little bit of energy and bias sometimes, but I gotta call a spade. And I just want to say one thing that I saw in this game that really stood out to me. I've already said that Christian Powell was great by having so many carries throughout the game and just continually going. But what I didn't say, and I'm going to say now, is the matchup that he was winning is one reason why he had such a great game. And that matchup was against DeMarco Artis. And DeMarco Artis is a great player, one of the best defensive linemen we've seen in a long time. But he's playing linebacker now. And in this game, him playing linebacker was ineffective for their team. Early in the game, you could see that he's decent going sideline to sideline. He has decent speed, and he can meet somebody in the hole. But he doesn't have the conditioning, I think. There was times in the game you could see him jogging towards the play, coming from middle linebacker position, which he was trailing when he needed to get to the ball. But he's trailing because he doesn't run like that on a normal basis. And in this game, you could see it. There was a lot of times where if he was a little bit more to the ball instead of going to the sideline or trying to take an angle, he makes a play, tackle for loss. And then the second thing you see is that in the hole, Christian Powell beat him every time. Every time. And when I say that, I mean these two would meet in the hole, and if there's more than like 2 feet of space, Christian Powell would do a little shimmy, and DeMarco missed every time. The only time I seen him actually hit him in the hole was one time when he had that profile angle where the running back's running at an angle, and he just got in there at the right time. But when they're face-to-face, he got nothing for Christian Powell in that hole, and there's a ton of missed tackles. And all those missed tackles are the difference between a 2-yard run and a 4-yard run. Because Christian Powell's like 6 foot already, so he's going to fall forward. And he's making the middle linebacker miss, which means someone else has to clean up the play. And that's one thing that I really just think the Royals need to fix. You need to put that man back where he can be effective, which is on the line. I don't care if it's at end or a tackle. If he was playing on the line, he gets to the running back faster. He's able to determine where Christian Powell can and cannot go. But in open space, he's not capable of stopping that running back. Now, does that mean he's not capable of anyone else? I don't know. But in this game, that was the biggest difference for every drive was that they could run the ball at will, and you had nobody who could force them to go left or right, and no one who could force them to not get to the second level. He was able to get to the second and third level every time he ran the ball, and that's because your middle linebacker had free reign to him too. It's not like he was taking on blocks. He was going untouched to the running back and couldn't make the tackles. So that's my negative. My other negative would be the Royals DBs. They was getting cooked all day. It is what it is. Yeah, that's pretty much all the negatives I had was the linebacker thing.
You went hard, but you're right. Just to even
I had to
caveat on a little bit of the defensive side though, because I know our DeMarco like he's used to playing defensive end or rush in or whatever you want to call it, right? So unless you're changing to middle linebacker on the regular, the moment in which you change to middle linebacker and you're not, and you haven't, the whole field looks different. Everything looks different. It's the difference of rushing in on one side and only you control one side, your tackle, your guard, you know what I mean? The other side, like you deal with one thing. But once you go in that box, it's a total different thing. There are so many people moving, and you have to be focused on seeing what you're seeing. Just that he was going with the play and not reading. Not saying he's not capable of doing that, but I know sometimes you get so caught up in trying to breathe what's going on, but at the same time you're taking false steps. And somebody like Christian Powell is already, you know what I'm saying? He's
that's all.
Made his move.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
A few times where he did meet him on the sideline, he could have met it. It could have been a tackle for loss already. It's just he didn't have that burst, or he didn't position or have that burst to get to him fast enough. But I mean, hitting him out of bounds after he gained 2-3 yards. I mean, yeah, it's cool, but that's not what your dare spot. If Christian Powell has a great game running the ball, it's your linebacker's fault. I don't blame it on the DN because they're DN. I mean, the D line. Like, yeah, I want to, but as a linebacker, all I need y'all to do is hold y'all man up. I'm gonna shoot my gap. I'm gonna find the play. But if you can't do that, and Christian Powell is down the field 4 or 5 yards, it's just a recipe for disaster. I think they mentioned the young Khalifa. They could really use him in this game.
He was there. He was there, right?
Okay.
Khalifa played. He changed his number. He's number 21, but in this game, he's number 21. He's played more like a nickel backer because of the formations that they had.
They got to put my boy back in the box.
Y'all
got to put.
That's what I'm saying. Earlier in the season, is your 3 best players are supposed to be your linebackers. So you got Prince, DeMarco, and Khalifa all playing linebacker. 2 of them are in the box. Khalifa was basically playing nickelbacker in this game because the Crocodiles kept running wide sets. 21 was on the field, but he wasn't in the run game. So you could take him out the run game, which means your linebacker supposed to make those plays, but Artis wasn't able to make them. And it just is what it is. I feel bad saying it because that's another guy. He's just a guy on the field for me. No offense, but Artis, I don't know.
Bad. It could be the defense they call it. Like, I don't know what it is because missing the other bull, how you say his name? Latica.
Oh, Latica. Yeah. Lyman Latica.
They missing him.
That's another linebacker. So what they gonna do with 4 linebackers?
Yeah.
What the point is that is somebody need to play on the line. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. You got Little Cos and Big Cos playing on the line, and Arkady Nas playing on the D line, but they're not creating nearly enough pressure to help you. And then if your linebackers aren't going to make the plays, you can't bring Lyman. I think is still hurt, but even when he comes back, somebody got to move. And I think what they're going to try to do,
they got to blitz more or something.
What it looked like they're trying to do is put Khalifa as a nickelbacker. I don't even like the idea of that, but it looked like they got him trying to play like nickelbacker, and that takes him out of the run game, which doesn't utilize his speed. But that's all the bad I got about it. You know, the Royals have been disappointing, and this game was disappointing. But to say something positive about the Royals before I talk a little bit more about the Crocs is that I don't think as a team they played bad in this game. Again, they were making the plays like we're saying about DeMarco. He was making the tackles. It's just you're doing them too late. They're still getting yards. offensively, they were able to move the ball. They just weren't able to score enough points to like win this game. And then defensively, they couldn't stop the other team, but they were in the game. And it's just you can't win that way though. You got to actually stop something or dominate somewhere, and they're not able to do that because of, I guess what we're saying is the defense they're running. But to go back to the positive, Crocodiles look breezy. Shout out to number 11, Vino Rainio, because he was out there catching every little thing, doing all like the grunt work for them at the receiver position. That's a good pickup for them because that gives them a third option pretty much. Because you have him, the import, what is his name, Jacoby? I think I can't remember the import's name. Number 16.
Yeah, 16, 12, 16.
Yeah, number 16, and then you always got the Sarkula brothers, and both of them are doing well. But Vanio, he won a lot of one-on-one matchups in this game against the Royals DBs and looked really good doing it. So it's really good to see him play in this game. So shout out to him. I think we kind of already talked about, Christian Powell having a great game, and you talked about the quarterback. Last thing I would say is their defense did a really good job of like holding the Royals. They got pressure up front, and they stopped the run when they needed to, and that's pretty much all they did. It wasn't like a dominant defense or anything, but with Akano constantly getting pressure, the Royals weren't able to do what they wanted to do the whole game, and that's how they ended up with the win. They held the offense enough that their offense was able to just keep going. I really thought it was a good game by both teams, but you could see that one team was better. And not by much, but over time, over the length of 4 quarters, a little bit more every quarter, the score just started to like stack up on them. That's kind of how I felt about that game. I know I went long on it. But let's go to the next game. Helsinki Roosters versus Porvoo Butchers. Who do you think won or lost this one?
Hey, the Helsinki Roosters, baby. The Helsinki Roosters, man. Won the game. And they won the game hurt. Like you said earlier, they got a lot of injuries. So we haven't even really seen the full team yet. They're moving. I don't really think they have a hard game until after midsummer. From what I believe, anyway, until after midsummer. So they got time.
This was supposed to be a hard game.
Well, it was supposed to be, but at the same time, the Butchers aren't the now. So it was a more breezy game. But the crazy part about this game, I will point this out. The crazy part about this game, even though I believe the Roosters won, the stats, you see that the Butchers actually didn't lose in majority of the categories, though. Like passing, I think the Roosters might have won in that. But when you look at first downs, rushing yards, like the Butchers had a lot more than the Roosters as far as every statistic that you could have. It's just they couldn't capitalize on a lot of the plays that they did make. Noted, 2 games in, the Butchers have not thrown for 300 yards yet all season. Haven't thrown for 300 yards yet. When are these guys going to break out? I don't know. But I know one thing, the Roosters are winning hurt, so they can only get better. Ambro, he's 2-0. From what I've noticed from what the Roosters are doing compared to what Kuopio did is that they didn't just unleash Ambro, managing him in his plays because he's this was the first game I think that he's got close to like 30 passes or something like that. I know last year he was 30, 40-yard, games. Like he's throwing the ball just all over the place. And I think the Roosters are doing a very, very good job of managing Ambro and what he does and what options he has because really, look at all the receivers he has. Look at the running backs. Like, he can go anywhere he wants to. So, Roosters won this game hurt. Won it. Man, the Butchers. Ooh. I'm not going to jump on your throat right now because I know it's early in the season. Last year, y'all didn't look that great in the first 2 games. And y'all turned it on. So, but right now, the Roosters, won the game. They 2-0, and one team is 0-2.
I don't know which way I want to go with this one, too, because like I said, I took notes this week, but I don't want to be on here too long. I'm gonna start with a question because I don't know if you noticed this, but was the Roosters secondary just really good, or was the Butchers receivers just not good? Because what I noticed was a lot of scrambling, and not because of pressure. I seen Brandon Gwinner step back, look, and then be like, damn, I gotta move because I looked twice and there's nobody open. And they're only bringing 4 people and they weren't pressuring him. He literally, a lot of his like scrambling was based on there's nobody open. There's nobody to throw to. So either the Butchers receivers were just not creating any separation, or the Roosters secondary was just having them on lock, which it kind of looked like they did. Every time I looked down next to a receiver, you saw a red jersey. And they had more red jerseys than they had receivers because they weren't really blitzing. They were bringing 4, keeping 4, and then putting 7 in coverage. Now, is that something that you noticed, or is that just me? I wrote down his note because I was like, maybe I'm not seeing the game.
No, I think the Roosters actually played a pretty good defense against what they were trying to do. It's just Winter just doesn't really have a lot of time to throw the ball. I don't think they're in sync. You know what I mean? I don't think the Roosters was just locking down stuff, but the Butchers are in sync. And that's the difference of being a championship team. Because you realize that, like I said last year, I guarantee that you'll ever be there again. Because now you're starting to see how fast something can change. It can change because it's happening, and then it doesn't happen. And you have to see the character of your players, and you got to see your teammates and say, hey, who's the leader? Who's the one that's going to bring us? Who's going to get us going? And we have yet to see who that is this year for the Butchers. And I think that's what they're dealing with. I think the Roosters don't think any of the other teams really fear anybody, but the Butchers have to know, like, everybody wants to beat you, and you can't just come in these games playing mediocre and not giving much effort. And defensively, I don't know what they're doing. Defensively, I don't know what they're doing. Bryce Nunley is off, and not once did the Butchers move their secondary to him.
Thank you for saying that. I'm glad you said it. You bring it. We say all last year, your corners trash. Upgrade them. Okay, we're gonna bring in this guy Silvestri, and whenever they get into the red zone, we're not gonna put him on their American. We're not gonna put our import on their import. And then he scores 2 touchdowns on kids. Like that, I don't know who actually scored a touchdown on, but they couldn't have been that experienced. But either way, you have a guy to match up with him. As a matter of fact, you have 2 guys. Zach Wright, he can get his ass out there and get some work too. He ain't no chump out there. He can go guard somebody man to man. And instead, you put your finished players on that guy and don't make that adjustment in the whole game. See, now I'm getting upset. I'm trying not to be. I'm not going to be upset at the Butchers.
You're right. Though.
Y'all not going.
That's their job, though.
Y'all not going to bait me this year. I'm not going to be your motivation.
You're supposed to adjust. Once a guy starts getting off like that, you got to adjust. Hey, you own him. We changing the whole plan. You own him. Now, Zach Wright where he's at. I don't know where he's at because the Roosters made him choose who you're going to help. You're at safety, they're going to make him choose. Every time he chose to go somewhere, through the opposite player, and the guy was wide open. You know what I mean? They playing games with him. So now the Butchers, what they need to do is play games with offenses because now it's too easy. You're not going to move your import around. You're going to have Zach standing back there hoping to read and get a pick, but they got it figured out now. If you go on any team that got 3 forwards, it's going to be hell for your safeties, especially when your corners are not making any plays. So, yeah, I don't know what the Butchers is doing, what they were thinking there. But, of course, you fire the offensive coordinator. You fire the offensive coordinator after 2 games or whatever it is. But listen to this. Record this right here. Butchers cannot fire the offensive coordinator after the first 2 games. And the reason why I say this is the offensive coordinator doesn't play. He doesn't play. So if I know you're not going to get rid of your championship quarterback. What I'm saying is take a little time, be patient. Work what doesn't work. Okay, now you get to the 4th game, 3rd, 4th game. Okay, cool. But come on, Butchers, I expected way more out of you. But you guys, I know you'll get better, but they just ran into, and that's not their fault.
But I'm not even upset at the Butchers defense. No offense, but it's playing like it was last year. And you can still win with that defense in the Maple League because it comes down to points. It take 28 points every week. If you're not scoring 28 points, you never had a chance in the first place. And they're not scoring 28 points. They're barely scoring, and it's just crazy. And again, I don't understand why you get rid of the offense coordinator. The plays are called okay. Like, I don't see a lot of bad play calls. I don't see any execution. Like you said, the guys who are playing aren't doing anything. One thing that I said about the passing game was I think the Roosters have a good defense, but I still think that the Butchers have good enough receivers to get open. They were not getting open. They weren't creating any separation, and that was making Brandon Gwinner hesitate. And there's nobody to throw to. What is he going to do? He's going to scramble around, and then you got to hope that they scramble with you. And they couldn't because the Roosters were kind of ready for that scramble. It's just one of those things where execute the damn plays, and you don't have to scramble. But you can't execute the plays if nobody's getting open. I'm calling the blame on the receivers of not being able to win those matchups and run their routes good enough to create separation, because that's something that you have to be able to do. And the Roosters really like stopped that from them. You know what? Let me flip it around. The Roosters were so good. Let me be positive. The Roosters were so good on defense that the Butchers couldn't execute. That's what I saw in the game. I'm gonna leave it on the Roosters. I'm gonna say the Roosters played so well that the Butchers looked bad. They just looked bad because the Roosters played so much better. So let's get to the third game. And this one, I got like 2 notes on. Helsinki Wolverines versus Kuopio Steelers. We know who won the game, but tell us why, Q. Tell us why.
The Kuopio Steelers won the game because the Helsinki Wolverines didn't call me in the y'all let's get this straight right now. Let's get this straight. I'm just being perfectly honest on what I've seen, bro. No way that anybody on the Helsinki Wolverines board organization took this offseason serious, because they look just like they looked last year. For the players that have to show up, because they didn't bring in. I'm not gonna say they didn't bring in guys to give them a chance, but like what I'm trying to figure out what's your goal here, because you ran into Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor is now at, I think, 10 touchdowns
in 2 weeks.
Touchdowns.
Damn.
In 2 weeks. And just from watching the game, it was like they really probably took it easy. I'm gonna be honest, easy after a while, because the Wolverines, man, it's gonna be a long season if the games are gonna go like this. Now, let me say, it is their first game, okay, but they're gonna need a lot more help to try to compete in this season. But I mean, Kuopio just out there playing catch, man. And I ain't gonna lie, man. I don't even want to bring up Austin and Noah and Isaac Marshall, man. That's just too much. That's too much for any Wolverines. I did see some sparks of plays from the Wolverines that they got a touchdown. I think the receiver Kevin Adams had a few catches. I don't know if he got in his zone, but he had a few catches that was nice. So they do got some things to look up to, and forward to. But man, they too much of a team. They on rhythm right now. They got the best quarterback in the league playing on their team. One of the best receivers, 3 receivers now. So it's just it was a hard game to watch. I'm not even gonna lie, man. But right now, boy, Kuopio, like y'all, I don't know. Y'all might want to kidnap Josh Taylor. Y'all better, because this man keep playing like this every week, boy, it's gonna be hell. This man gonna have 50 touchdowns in 5 games. But yeah, either way in the game, fair and square. Good job, Nessie. Good job to all those guys over there, man. Kuopio is showing y'all that we still the same team, we still the same organization. They still looking good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say too much about the Steelers because better team won. They played great. I did like I think it was number 0, the safety. They got the 2 picks. I seen him in week 1 make a couple plays, but I wasn't sure who he was. So I didn't want to say nothing. And then this week, again, lower competition, but he got 2 picks and he dove for one of them. So it was actually a difficult play. So it was good to see that from the safety position out there. I know he's with Lars Steffen doing his thing, but having kind of another ball hawk out there is really cool to see. Going later in the season, I'm going to see how he matches up against, good teams. But I was excited to see it in this game. Outside of that, I mean, the Wolverines, you look about the same. You got, 4 players? I mean, you got Adams, you got Lewis, you got Reels. Lewis and Reels look good on defense. They made a lot of plays. They're not the ones that were getting beat. It's the other 9 players, which what you going to do if you only got 2 players? And then Will at running back, not a great game from him, but you see a little bit of potential. But but that's all you got. Your domestics, your Finnish players aren't helping you. You still got 18 and 17-year-olds playing at corner and safety. Noah Choate had 2 touchdowns. I'm not 100% sure. I cannot be honest about this. Noah cannot be older than 20. I'm pretty sure he's on the U20 team for Kuopio if they have one. And the 2 guys that he beat are also under 20 for the Wolverines. The same 2 kids they had playing last year playing at corner. I'm not going to say their names because they're underage, but they had 2 young kids out there playing, and that's what you're going up against. That's what you're putting out there every week is 2 kids. And if they're getting beat by kids their age, just imagine when they start going up against like Austin Brock and other professionals on the other team.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're putting out there. And Darius is playing safety. That's cool. And I mean, that's going to help a little bit, but you got 3 other positions out there in the secondary that you are not prepared to play anybody in the Maple League. And that's what you came out there with in week 1. Before the season, we could all, it's all speculation. We don't know what they got. Now we know what they got. I'm going to do them just like I did last year. I ain't going to talk on the Wolverines too much because it ain't worth my time. It's a little bit boring. And if they don't want to try, hopefully this year they get relegated. Relegated. I don't even know if that's possible, but I hope it is because I'm tired of seeing whatever they're going to put out there. They're going to keep doing it like this. I'm going to leave it at that. We're moving on.
Hey there, fans of American football in Finland. Want to show some love and support to your favorite podcast? For just €3, you can buy us a cup of coffee and help keep our podcast running strong. But why stop at 1 cup? Why not support each host with a cup? Visit buymeacoffee.com and show your support today. Cheers to keeping the conversation going.
That's it for this episode of American Football in Finland. Any last words before we get out of here, Q?
Nah, man, just hope these guys show up with next week. A little something better next week, man. Everybody else. Butcher's on the clock, baby. Butcher's on the clock. Wasselroy. Hey, step it up, fellas. That's all I got to say. Step it up, man.
You know what? Last thing I'm going to say before it goes, I thought it was a good week of games. I know the scores were a little lopsided, but I felt like it was in line with how football should be played. The better teams won, and the teams that didn't win, it wasn't like, oh, they just made some crazy. They're just not good right now, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And, besides the Wolverines, that's okay. Like the Butchers didn't play well, but that's okay because you can still see that they have something going. Same thing with the Royals. You lose, that happens. It's still early in the season. Now the Wolverines, they lose. It's like, who cares? But also felt like the teams that were winning, they were winning. Like, you knew they were going to play good. They played up to their level, and that's good for the league because we know going forward what we're going to get out of most of these teams, and we know where some of these teams can go. So, in my opinion, good week by everybody. It was good to see the games. Did I go to a game this week? I don't think I did. Did I go to one? No, I didn't go to those games. But I saw them all. Okay. No, I was on a train. I went out of town. I forgot. I was on a train during one of the games. Last weekend is over, so you can catch us talking about the upcoming games right here on the AFF podcast tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like, and share on all social channels at American Football in Finland. Until next time, never forget
T.
I.
F.
We gone.
We gone.